Welcome to Mifos. Hopefully today's call will be informative. As I put in the chat, please feel free to ask questions as we go along using the Q&A feature. I'll make sure as we get to the end of the call, we have some time to go through those questions. Often that's the best part of the call, let's face it. Let's make sure we make some time at the end. Today's call really is just to try and give you an overview of what Mifos is. And we realise we've had quite a few people join since we last ran one of these calls, so we can update you a little bit on what Mifos is, how we work together. And then obviously, given the number of people that are probably interested in interning, we'll have a bit of a look specifically around volunteering and intern, what the differences are between them, and what our plans are for this year, a bit more in terms of internships. So in terms of agenda, as I said, I'll start off with a little bit about what Mifos is, and then I'll talk a bit more about how we do things, what the projects are, what volunteering and internship is, a bit about our tech stack. I'm not overly technical, so you won't get a huge pitch from me on that, but we'll give you an idea of some of the things we do around, and then some next steps, what to do, and then we'll get to the Q&A. So what is Mifos' mission? Well, we're a fintech nonprofit. We're here leveraging the cloud, mobile and open source community to transform the delivery of digital financial services to the world's 3 billion poor and underbanked. Great mission statement. And most people don't even realize there's that many people that are underbanked. And underbanked basically means don't have access to all those types of mechanisms just to make simple payments, participate in the digital economy that we all take for granted. As part of this, we've taken our inspiration from someone called Marie. Marie had some difficult family circumstances and had to support her own family. But because she was able to participate in digital economy using Mifos software, she was actually able to support her family and actually much wider able to support the community. And she's a bit of a focus for what we do here at Mifos. Often I'm asked, is Mifos actually used though? Well, the answer is yes, it actually is. We have well in excess of 65 million end users effectively on Mifos. That'd be people with accounts, people with loans on top of Mifos software. There's at least 500 organisations that have deployed it. And I say at least because we're open source. We don't know everybody's implemented it. We know those that we can see have implemented it, have talked to us and shared their story. So the numbers are probably way in excess of this. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. So we're headquartered in California, in the US. But we're actually a very small team. You'll see most of them here. Myself, Ed, we've got a community architect coming on board shortly, and a few other people that help us in terms of business analysis, etc. But we're quite a small team as an organisation. But we have a very, very big community, and I'll come on to the scale of our community in a bit. And it's the community that really drives Mifos forwards. We do attacking that mission really through commoditized core banking software, and I'll get onto the products and how they work and how they deliver that in a bit. But we're very much focused on that last mile of financial inclusion, making sure that people on the ground can actually use and access digital financial services. We've had some awards over time, and I'll come on to a few more awards in a minute. But one of the key things as well is how we do things, and we do it for the public good. And that's why we're members of the Digital Public, we are associated with Digital Public Goods Alliance, and 2 of our products are recognised as digital public goods by them, which is absolutely great. It's validation of how we do things as well as the impact of those projects. I said we've won a plethora of awards over the years, and this doesn't even show all of them. But we are keen that our work is recognised, so we do apply for awards. We're really great when people recognise as well, and even recently we ran a special jury award at the Bauer FinTech Festival, which you can see at the top here. 2 members of our community who are actually involved in our internship programs over the last few years went up and collected a nice award for us being a financial inclusion organisation Organisation of the Year recognised by that special jury award. But we've got a long history of winning different awards for different aspects of the projects we manage. The quick history lesson, how long has Mifos been around? Well, it can trace its roots all the way back to the early 2000s, where the MOAP project started out as the start of the project. It was then nurtured through the Grameen Technology Centre in the early 2000s, but became independent in 2013. And that's really when we started focusing on Mifos X and then expanding out the product set. Mifos donated what is known as Apache Fineract now to the Apache Software Foundation. So that's the core banking backend software back in 2017. But Mifos continued developing on top of it since. So we have a number of DPGs. So Mifos X, our core banking solution over the top of the backend software, and Payment Hub EE, which we abbreviate to PHE, it's short on slides, which is our payments orchestration software. And both of those have been recognised as DPGs in their own right. We've also, don't stop there, we've got a roadmap moving forwards, and just over a year ago, we actually launched a new project called Mifos Gazelle. Mifos Gazelle really enables people to actually experience all different sorts of DPGs, not just Mifos ones, in a single, easy way to do demos and understand a DPI architecture. And that's very much what we're about. We're about creating open source building blocks that are backed by a digital community. And we talk about open, and open fits in the way we do everything at Mifos. We're not just open source, we're open community, we're open ecosystem, we're open collaboration, we're open standards. So we really do try to adopt that open in everything we do. And you'll even see that in our GitHub our thing. It's not Mifos at GitHub. We do have Mifos at GitHub as well, but all our code is actually in OpenMF. So it really does come to the core of what we do here. And why do we have such a small team? Why do we believe this is the right way to do it? Well, it's all around that virtuous cycle. And we really do encourage that across our ecosystem, that, what one person develops, another person can contribute back in on top. Everyone then benefits. You benefit from what everybody else does, and that creates a virtuous cycle. And that's the way we conduct all our development work. We also try to adopt the hourglass approach, which was coined by Pramod Verma. So that is that we should be a very thin element in the middle, but enabling lots of apps and innovation at the top, and being able to contribute back down to even our, upstream into components that we use below. So we will make contributions, for example, back into Apache Fineract as we develop things as well. And we have a pyramid of how we do things. So there's the global financial services sector, there's a fintech sector on top, and obviously you get to the top of the pyramid, you get to financial inclusion, which is where we're really trying to commoditize and enable things. So I've kind of talked about our approach to that. So really we're about encouraging and enabling that innovation of services, innovation of applications at the top layer. And we do that through open APIs to enable people to rapidly develop those services atop. We also have some open source primitives or functional building blocks even within our payments landscape in terms of things such as accounts, loans, savings, wallets, etc. And you'll see that in the architecture as we go through. As I mentioned, we have a DPGs, although it might not be immediately obvious how all these things fit together, and that's part of the purpose of calls like this and some of the other webinars we do. The idea behind what we do is that we can talk about that end-to-end story. So, for example, as we've talked about Payment Hub, EE could be adopted as a payment orchestration system for a government. That could talk to a payment orchestration system of a financial service provider. That would in turn have a core banking system. So you'd think of something like Mifos X at that point. Those things need to work towards our mobile applications. and you could deploy the whole thing through Mifos Gazelle. So there is a joined up story about how all these work together that we bear in mind. So I've kind of alluded it several times. What are our core projects? And I say our core projects because we love to innovate. We love to bring new things along and do new things. So we have two digital public goods recognised. Mifos X, which is our core banking solutions. That's what keeps the loan account or the savings account details of record, the transaction flows, etc. And that can be on-prem or it could be in the cloud, etc. We have Payment Hub EE, which is our payment orchestration engine. So that has BPMN workflows within it. It can be used, as I've said, even in governments or by a financial service provider to enable them to connect to the payment rails they need to connect to underneath, things such as mobile money, Swift networks, and many other payment rails, vouchers and things like that. And those workflows govern how you make those transactions, and the checks and balances need to be done. And then we have a range of mobile applications, quite a rapidly growing area of Mifos, where we have a number of applications, whether it be for wallet, whether it be for PISP to see different types of accounts, whether it be for field officers or just supporting end users in general. And that's a very vibrant part of our community. Beneath the surface, as you go lower and lower, and these slides will be available afterwards, so you can look at them in detail. You don't need to all be screen grabbing them or try to write it down. We can break our architecture down into lots of different blocks underneath. And as I say, what we try to do is focus on what those primitive blocks of open source code are and enable people to develop the services above. We also have what we call a core edge approach. This is probably the most noisy slide I'm going to present today, you'll be pleased to know. So what the pink is showing is the innovation that the ecosystem and all those APIs enable around the edge. So people might create integration layers on top. They might create customer engagement front ends. They might do customer onboarding workflows, etc. around the edge. And what we focus on is those blue boxes, the core that enables things, customer management, account management, security, accounting, audit, control, etc. The idea being that if you have a highly maintained core, you can allow very vibrant, active innovation around the edge. So what does Mifos do and how does it do things, I guess? So the role of Mifos Initiative as an organisation, and I know it can be confusing because we have Mifos X as a product and Mifos Initiative as an organisation. The organisation is broken down into four key things that we do. One is an ecosystem. So we're the secretariat hub, for want of a better expression, the people that connect the ecosystem together, maintain that network, maintain a partner directory, which we're reviving at the moment and updating it, maintain the marketplace of solutions, connect people together, help people to understand how to build solutions on top and actually, use them in real life. We focus on collaboration and governance as well. So we lead the open source community, we lead the developer community, making sure there's smooth collaboration underneath. We maintain the key infrastructure, things like Jira for our project tracking, GitHub and the workflows behind that to enable safe, secure deployment, and lots of demo instances and things like that. We also manage their education and enablement tools. We are in charge of the product stewardship for our projects. We maintain that vision. We work with the community to have a roadmap, a vision, and enable upstream contributions to things such as Apache Finomact. And then we do thought leadership and advocacy. So you'll often see we're on the road or members of the community on the road at different road shows, talking, explaining what we do. We also meet with potential countries and adopters to talk about what we do and how we do it. So we do that whole thought leadership and advocacy, whether it be around our projects, our community, or around DPI and financial inclusion in general. So you'll see quite a bit of work that we do in those areas as well. So as I say, in terms of the ecosystem, we have a partner network. So they're people that we try to facilitate to have the knowledge to be able to build on top or deploy or support. We build a services marketplace. We maintain the app store for the ecosystem. We maintain shared infrastructure. We maintain tools such as Gazelle that enables people to do things. In terms of community and collaboration, we do all sorts of things around that. Mentorship of intern programs, probably quite relevant to a lot of people here. We maintain working groups. We attend events and conferences and talk about the work that the community is doing. We support deployments in innovation labs. So we're deployed in a few innovation labs around the world. We have local chapters, so that enables people to meet up and discuss what they're doing more locally. But we provide that governance and the community infrastructure as well to make sure all of that works. As I say, we started the working groups in 2024. So they're quite a new, vibrant area of Mifos, but that's really to just encourage discussion. So we started with documentation because we realised it's out of date, and that enabled people to contribute in that way. But in 2025, we launched 2 new working groups as well. The very engaged working group around AI and round about architecture and how we architect our products in a more forward-looking way, a more modular way, and things like that moving forwards. In terms of our product and how we do that product stewardship, so often we're asked, why do we use Jira, not GitHub? We now use Jira across all our projects with a very large community. And GitHub doesn't allow us to do what we need to do in terms of reslicing things in different ways, doing product discovery and things like that. So that's why we use Jira for all our issue tracking. You will find a few of our repos still have issues, and that's just to enable a few things we need to do, especially for the DMP internship program. But if you see an issue on Jira, on GitHub, it's almost definitely out of date, and you can always ping me and I'll go and sort out the repo and remind people it's all in Jira. So we use Jira for all our issue tracking and our development work. And we have a very wide license, so we are not restricted in allowing people to participate, raise issues and take issues on Jira. And we use that whole Atlassian Studio, and that's one of the reasons we've gone to it. So we enable it from the start of product discovery, from I have an idea, to break it down into issues, to break it down into programs, to support customers in life if needs be through Service Desk, to do customer-specific development work in specific projects, etc. We do some requirements and functional specification work using Confluence. So you'll see we use Confluence as well for that. But the source control remains in GitHub. So all our code is in GitHub, and all the PR requests come through GitHub to our OpenMF org. Our documentation is a mix at the moment, and something that we're still trying to get right in terms of balance. But we have user documents typically in things like Gitbook. We have contributor and installation guides typically in GitHub. Technical documentation we have in a number of different places, such as like Cinemact, for example, is an ASCII doc, and we have a few others. And then API documentation, we try to use readme.io. I've talked about what we do in terms of education and advocacy, but really what I want to show you is how these things join together, and really what we said about we're delivering last mile financial inclusion. And this is an image that you'll see more and more we've recently generated and started using to explain how they fit together. So typically in DPI landscape, you have a large number of what they call infrastructure, things such as railways almost in a digital world. And those will be things such as OSIP maybe for identity, Moduloop for payments, etc. But those rails are no use unless you've got somewhere to stop and get off. And that's what we mean by last mile inclusion. You can do big national projects of ID, you can do big national projects of payment switches and payment gateways, but unless you're able to stop off and allow those people to access it locally, you're still not getting to that last mile financial inclusion. And that's where Mifos X fits in. Mifos X is that station. It holds the accounts, the customers effectively, and enables them to get onto those rails. And then Payment Hub EE is that orchestration, is effectively the engine that's bringing those rail cars of innovation along to those customers so they can hop on to look at saving schemes and participate in saving schemes. They can be a microfinance institution. They can have new loan products, etc. So that's one way of articulating how what we do enables that last mile financial inclusion. As I said, we've got a few projects. We've got Mifos X, which is the core banking. We've got Payment Hub, which is the payment orchestration. We have the mobile apps, and we have Mifos Gazelle. But what you see at the bottom as well is the roadmap of where we're continuing to develop. So we have a roadmap moving forwards. We have an initial MCP server linked to Mifos X, and we're looking at how that roadmap can develop more to allow AI to interact with our products and offer new solutions to customers. We're looking at Mifos Save, which is a savings group version of our application, and how we slim something down to the needs of that savings group, but also provide the very specific user interfaces those savings group need around the edge. We have Mifos Lumina, which we'll talk about a bit more in the future. And the other logo you see on there is that we're starting to expand into making sure our systems are actually compliant with the Islamic finance regulations, etc., and can actually do Sharia compliant lending, for example. So volunteering and internship, and what are they? Is there a difference? Yes, there is. But actually, it's not hard and fast, and people transition between being a volunteer and maybe being an intern and back to a volunteer, and vice versa as they go through in their engagement in the community. The main difference between the two: as a volunteer, you don't have a direct reward. You're participating in the community, you're putting things up, it makes you feel better, it might be part of your work, it might be something you're doing in the evening, but there's no direct reward for the work you're undertaking. But you do benefit very much from that community and the community opportunities, and we're really keen to encourage and recognise people that are star contributors in our community, that are developing new features. We give exposure to what people are doing on LinkedIn as we go through release cycles. You may mentor and guide each other, which is a whole rewarding factor in itself. Interns is much more time-specific thing in time. So interns normally come on board for a specific period of time. Typically over the summer, we have business development interns that are slightly longer, they're about a year, but most of the sort of development interns come in over the summer. And what they are is focused on a very specific contribution. They'd have a project statement, they would be doing it, and they're typically rewarded, although it varies depending on the program of internship as to how they're rewarded and how that works. But this is very much about growth and helping people to develop in their open source journey. So we give them a lot of mentorship support, but we also develop them in a lot of the wider aspects. So a lot of this is about promotion, how to participate as part of a community. We try to instill, a lot of us have lots of experience of even commercial organisations before open source, and we try to instill some of that knowledge and experience from our careers back into people that may be starting out. And as I say, we've got 4 programs of internship we currently participate in. So we've got business development, it's every year. Dima, who's many of you might have met the community, may have welcomed you when you came on board, is our business development intern this year. We participate in the DMP program, which previously known as Code for GovTech, which is a specific program with some specific projects. We participate in GSOC, which is probably one most people know about, Google Summer of Code, and we've been selected as a mentoring organisation this year for them. But we also run something called Mifos Summer of Code, and we normally announce that in about April of the year, and that covers some of those projects we may not have been able to get into GSOC, may not have been able to get into DMP, that we still think would be really valuable for the community to work on. And a lot of it is about progression. So I'm just going to show 2 very quick slides. This is progression in terms of GSOC. You know, we've been doing this since 2013, a long time back. And there's a definite progression of the number of interns that we have, and also how they've then gone on to be mentors and contribute to community after. So as I say, internship may be a static point in time, but your journey continues on. Exactly the same as in terms of DMP. We've only participated 2 previous years, but we'll be participating again this year, and we'll have announcements very shortly about that. But again, what we're seeing, people that were interns have gone on to be mentors and continue that cycle of moving forwards. So we see internship as a way to be much more part of the volunteer community. And that community is wide, and that's why it really matters to us. So we can probably count about 3,000 people in our community. Different people are engaged at different times, so don't expect 3,000 to be replying on Slack every day. But there's about 3,000 unique people in our community at the moment. Some are commercial partners, some are practitioners, some are just there for the open source projects and different open source projects that we interact with. Some are pure volunteers there to dedicate their time to try and grow others in their careers. And then we have a huge community of people as well that are interested in internships, been interns, been mentors, etc. So we call them the alumni, effectively, that participate in our community. But we're all working towards goals. And in terms of UN Sustainable Development Goals, probably our number one goal that we're driving towards is that no poverty, that inclusion underneath. And we do have a mission. You're going to see more of this ramping up over the next few years of Mifos 2030. So if you look at where we are today with 65 million clients, 500 contributors and 75 solutions, we actually expect that to get by 2030 to 500 million clients that we can directly identify on our solutions as well. So quite a way to go, but I think we've got the right community to do that. As I said, a lot of what we do in internship programs is not just about coding, it's about the impact and the reward. So why did I show that? As you probably could tell from that, that was last year's program. Now I've got to work out how to move on to the next slide. That was last year's program, but what I really wanted to do was give you some of the vibrancy. So it's not just about code. It's not just about seeing if you can get a certificate at the end of it. What we've tried to do is develop people, give them promotion that they need in their careers as well, give them a sense of fun. And I think the key thing that I draw out of that as well, it's not just about the interns, it's about the mentors. The mentors get as much out of it as the interns do in our summer internship programs. And whichever program you'd apply for, if you applied for one of them, you're all treated the same as some interns. So you'll get the same experience around the edge of what the internship program is underneath. So what ways are there to get involved in general in Mifos? So we do have a need for non-technical volunteers as well, and people like me, to some extent, able to do things such as product support, user support, community engagement, fundraising, and outreach. Just as important to a community of open source as people that can code in Python, Java, Angular, React, and the list goes on. That we do underneath. So they are not excluded, although some of the internship programs may specifically be about coding. These people are vital parts of the community, and we encourage people to volunteer and contribute in these ways if they can't contribute in others, or alongside contributing in technical ways. We run 3 working groups as well as part of this. We've got the architecture working group, the documentation working group, and the AI for all working group. I really encourage all members of the community, if you're volunteering or an intern, to be a member in at least one of those working groups, or more than one. They meet on Slack asynchronously a lot of the time. Even I can't keep up with the discussion on some of those channels. But we try to make them meet virtually every month as well around a topic of interest to drive things forward. So I really would encourage you, all of those are the Slack links on our Slack channel, to get engaged, just watch what's happening. That tells you where we're thinking moving forwards. And it's sometimes, an easy way to get engaged. If you're interested in our AI integration and what we're doing about AI, and even down to the fundamentals of what do we and what do we not allow in AI, the AI working groups for you. If you sat down, you're always frustrated. I can never find instructions how to do this. I followed this guide here and it didn't work, and I had to work out for myself. Get involved in our documentation working group. Help us develop it for the next person to bring it forwards. Or if you just want to understand more about our architecture, what we're going to do, are we going to modularize things? Are we going to be more self-service in the future and things like that? That's where our architecture working group comes in, and is really cross-product as well, trying to instill those same values, security by design, modular architecture, etc., across all the projects and products that we work with in our community. We have ways of doing community engagement as well around chapter development and things like that. Fundraising and outreach just as important to us. And we also try to engage back our community and make sure we call out our people that are doing well and things like that, people that are living our community. So we run things such as our contributor awards, updating our website content, release code names, all sorts of different ways of getting involved. But we're also very technical. So we do full stack development in terms of contributing upstream back into the Apache Finamap project where needs be, doing Mifos X modules and integrations. A lot of that is Java, a bit of Python in there as well. Front end and mobile. So for mobile, it's a Kotlin multi-platform approach to how we do our development. For front end, both Angular and React are used. Payment Hub EE, very similar technologies, a lot of integrations with dependent things underneath in terms of Kafka and things like that, and workflows that we need to resolve. We've got DPI and DPG development. So DPI development typically is done through Mifos Gazelle and enabling things to go out. We are involved in AI and still trying to do it. So as we said, we've had a lot of projects looking at how we can use AI within our community to support us, chatbots, things like that, how we can use AI in our products, things such as loan decisioning, bank statement analysis, uploading paper documents and trying to translate them so they can be digitized and used. MCP servers to enable new services and new creative ways to interact, using it for translation and accessibility for people that can't access otherwise. We undertake quality assurance in what we do, so there's space for people to volunteer and take part in testing and improving our testing frameworks and how we do things. Security is very important, as I say, so security by design, but also doing penetration and testing through the back end that we've done it. We look at DevOps. Again, Gazelle does a lot of that, but we need to translate what we've done in Gazelle back into our core products in terms of easier tooling to deploy, enhance, and manage our own development and operations community. And performance testing, making sure it can actually work at scale, these products. Some of these products actually support, 200 million loans on their books. These are big products that need performance testing. I am going to skip a lot through these slides, so we get some time for Q&A, but don't worry, they'll all be available afterwards. So this gives some view of our tech stack underneath in terms of what we use. So as I say, Angular as a front end sometimes, Kotlin for all the mobile development, Keycloak for access management, Kong for API gateways, etc. Spring, Java, Kafka, Eclipse Link. We're looking at more Eclipse projects. Eclipse BERT, for example, we've been looking at for reporting. We use Pentaho reports as well. We support multiple database technologies underneath in terms of MySQL, Postgres, MariaDB. Testing, we're trying to move towards a testing framework in Cucumber. We use Helm, we use Jenkins, we use for CI/CD pipelines, dependency management for Gradle. We have a huge ecosystem of components and technologies underneath. And that enables us to do all the things we want to do, such as reporting, dashboards, integrations, etc., in a modular way. We also have cross-cutting projects that sit across the whole lot in terms of UI, multi-platform proof of concepts, etc. As I said, web development has typically been focused on Angular, but we now have a React version of our UI for Mifos X. We're looking to do that for Payment Hub EE as well. And we look at all sorts of different micro front-end architectures and what that might enable for us in terms of having a better user experience to end users. We're looking at online banking and how we can support customer loan management portals and things like that we haven't traditionally had in the product. This shows you a bit more about the mobile applications and the whole mobile development lifecycle. And if mobile applications is your thing, we have a very vibrant community we can link you up with that was a very structured way of working, but delivers very rapidly. So most of our products are on typically sort of 6 monthly release cycles. The mobile is releasing pretty much weekly, monthly, depending on the scale of the patch as well. And they are both, of course, mobile wallets, mobile banking, open banking applications, etc. Payment Hub EE requires developers to make new connectors, maintain our connectors to lots of different rails, as we've explained. We have a really big need for updating our operations UI, and that'll be an area of focus for us. We're looking at how we can integrate better with the IntelliJ stack as well, and bring that into Payment Hub EE. And Payment Hub EE, you saw the big messy diagram at the beginning about Core Edge. We adopt that same principle in Payment Hub EE around the core of orchestration and then connectors around the edge, which can be simply adapted for use cases. And then we've got all our stuff we're doing for DPGs and DPIs as well. Different integrations to different DPGs that we don't currently have within Gazelle, and working out our end-to-end use cases is very important to us to be able to articulate that story and get adoption up. And then, as I said, AI is very rapid. This slide is probably out of date because it's so rapid what we're doing. But we've looked at it typically in terms of generative AI or analysis type AI or community engagement type AI. But that's very rapidly evolving. We have a number of new AI projects this year on our ideas list. So in terms of next steps, there's a few things to do to help you get engaged in our community. And number one on that list is join Slack. If you're not already on the Mifos Slack, please join it. That is our principal area for communicating and working together as a community. Yes, there is some mailing lists that float around. They don't have much traffic. We really have migrated everything onto Slack because it allows much more interaction. So please do get on there. If you're want to come on, we recommend you introduce yourself either in the GSOC channel or in the introductions channel. Say who you are, what your background is, what you're interested in. You'll soon find people respond to you and help you around. Maybe try not to do it in general, although some people do, purely because general has absolutely everybody in it. So the introductions channel or the GSOC channel are the better ways to kind of introduce yourself. Very key, sign our contributor agreement. So if you go to our website, you can go to About Us, Financial and Legal Information, and you'll find we have a contributor agreement. If you are going to contribute code to us, it is absolutely essential you sign that. We cannot accept your code into the code base behind. Nothing scary, but it just gets you GitHub ID. We know who you are. You say you're going to meet by our values and live by our values, etc. And our values are all available on the website. We have something called a code of conduct about how we work together. None of it is rocket science. It's what you've probably seen elsewhere. It's about just respecting everybody, doing things in the open, etc. So we really encourage you to look at those links and fill those in. We have starter issues on Jira. So how do you get involved? Take a starter issue. After you've introduced yourself in the channel, you've kind of got an idea what you do. Take one ticket, not 50. We try to put new ones on there quite regularly. There's an awful lot of mobile ones on there at the moment. Some of the others there's less of, but we have a starter issues board on our Jira channel. So you can take an issue that's in the to-do list. Don't grab something that's assigned to somebody else and assign it to yourself. That's a way to upset people, let's face it. You wouldn't like if someone did that to you. If you really want to work on something someone else is working on, have a chat with them, find out what they're doing and see if you can help them at all. But otherwise, grab one of the other stories, assign it to yourself. If you have problems assigning it to yourself, reach out to myself or Ed, and we can sort it out for you. But take one, not 50. We don't want people working on 50 stories at the same time. Take one, work your way through it. Show you can do the code, raise the PR, get it reviewed. We'll move it to done when you've completed it and accepted it. And it gives you that assurance that you've got on the right journey through Jira. Big thing, just discussing the project or working channels. You're not isolated. You're in a community of about 3,000 people here. They're going to help you. If you had a problem, chances are someone else has had a problem before. So talk on those channels. General really is for company announcements. You won't get much response on there. But there's dedicated channels for Mifos X, Mifos Gazelle, Payment Hub, etc. If you don't know where to put it, just reach out to me. I'll soon tell you where to navigate around our channels and which ones to get involved. You'll hear what the community is doing. You'll hear about the projects. You'll be able to ask questions and it will help you do it. Or the working group channels as well. They're great places to ask questions. Once you've identified what you really want to do, because there's a big place to Mifos community, then try and find who you find synergies with in that community. We can help you if not, but we do recommend your first few weeks through the community, first few months, maybe find a buddy that can support you, someone who's been there before and can say, yeah, that's a gotcha I found. You don't want to do that, you want to do this, and help you and answer your questions. Myself and Ed, we're always available to try and chat to you, but do bear in mind we get a lot of messages. It's not we're ignoring you, we just get a lot of messages and sometimes it takes us a couple of days to respond, but we're also available. And for non-technical tasks, that's probably who you're going to come to get involved. Or Dima, who's our business intern, could help you as well. You've seen him on there. In terms of some internship programs, if you're interested in those, at the moment it's about discovery, as you say, finding a project on our ideas list. Our ideas list for Google Summer of Code is up. We have about 40 project ideas on that. Typically about 10 to 15 will go forward with internships during the year. I can't tell you which ones. It's not a magic formula, unfortunately. The way GSOC works is we put a load of ideas in. People now do odd tasks to help them understand that project idea, create their proposal. They will submit their proposals in. We review those proposals and move any AI-generated proposals because we're not interested in an AI, we're interested in a person, even if they use AI tools, but we're interested in a person, not an AI putting a submission in. To get the top ones, we'll interview the very top ones against each project. And then what we do is we rank those projects in terms of need for the business afterwards. We submit those into Google Summer of Code. Google tells us how many slots we got. Last year it was 13, and that decides from that list which projects go ahead. So I can't magically tell you which projects will be going ahead this year. Code for GovTech and DMP work the completely opposite way. You absolutely know what projects are going ahead, but there's a smaller number of them. So there's about 6 projects. They will be listed very shortly, announced next month. And you can apply through the DMP scheme for those. Very similar proposal mechanism. And we select one person against each project. So all of those projects will get taken in. We have a common application template. This is the tip if you're going to do it. go to our application template. We look in every proposal to make sure you've answered all of those questions. And if you haven't answered those questions, you won't be progressing through, because it's a simple way for us to understand your motives. We're interested in all the other stuff you'll put in your proposal as well, but do make sure you answer those questions in our application template. We also probably will run Mifos Summer Code again this summer as well. And we will decide that in about April, May time, after we've gone through to GSOC and we know how many projects we've got. We'll look at what projects we really wanted to do that were outstanding, and they normally form the structure of what's in Mifos Summer Code. And we'll announce more about that route to do things in the future. Why get involved in an internship? I will assure you there is some challenges in this as well. The selection process is competitive. So we had 22 interns last year and well over 1,000 applications. It is competitive to get through there. Getting the project proposal right takes time. You may not get in one year, you might get in another year. So it is a competitive process, but it really helps you in your career. And I think that's some of the takeaways we want to get to you. If you go through that process, actually what you will find is really committed mentors. They all have to sign up every year to be a mentor. So they are making that commitment. They want to spend time, they want to share their knowledge with you and develop you forwards. Don't be afraid to fail on those programs as well. We're here to help you through your mistakes as well as your successes, and that's really part of it. You learn by making mistakes and then us saying, oh, have you thought about this way, and moving things forward. Being an intern is about a sense of belonging. It gives you a way to get experienced in open source and become part of the open source community, and that's why we do it. And it gives you a pathway to future potential. What we love to see, as we said, is people that have volunteered a bit become interns, then may go on to do mentorship, continue volunteering. It's an endless cycle. And that's why we always refer to these internships as the endless summer of code. Although it might be focused in one slice of the summer, it's about an experience that will last over multiple years and really enhance your career. If you want to find out more about the internships, we will have specific Ask Us Anything. Or I always get nervous at this. Ask Us Anything for an introvert is a horrible thing to do. But we will have an Ask You Us Anything call during that proposal window. So you can ask us questions, etc., specific about the programs as well. We'll give you a bit more overview on the programs on that call. So make sure you register for that one. It's on our events calendar. As well. And if you haven't found our events calendar, actually, I've probably got it somewhere up here. So on our website, we have an events calendar. It tells you where we're going to be, a great way to meet people in our community. It tells you other calls that we're running, etc. And we populate this continuously. So don't worry, we will be doing lots more things on this list, and we keep it up to date. So it's a really good way of staying in touch. Anyway, that's enough of me talking. I'm going to look. I can see we already have some questions in the Q&A, so please put some in if you've got any, and we will. Well, I'll stay on until we've got through the questions anyway. So first question I can see is, hi everybody, happy to be here. Thanks all for joining. Currently done my course and waiting for my graduation after internship. Being in the Mifos community, that's great that you've been here for some time. Absolutely great. Haven't done internship before. What's the eligibility criteria to getting into one? Each program has its own eligibility criteria, but they're quite broad generally. So it doesn't matter if you finished your course, you can be waiting for graduation and not employed. You can even be in employment. It really is about getting people into open source. So there's nothing that precludes you, if you're a graduate, getting involved in an internship. Equally, there's nothing that precludes you, if you're still in college, getting involved in internships. And you want to get involved in volunteering in back-end development, which is absolutely great. We've got a number of projects for back-end development. But yeah, get involved, volunteer, find out the projects you're most interested in, and that'd be great. And if you want to reach out, please do. And I'm happy to link you up with a few people around there. To contribute, we need to assign issue from Jira dashboard and then the rest from GitHub like normally. No, so we use Jira. We don't use GitHub for issues. So if you find issues on GitHub, please don't try and do work on them. They're out of date, and I am trying to get rid of them. So tell me if they're there, and I'll get rid of them. So take an issue from that starter board that I showed. If you can't find it, we'll put all this stuff in the GSOC and the general, some of these links for people. If you have issues assigning yourself a ticket, reach out and I will work out why you can't do it. You should be able to assign yourself a ticket, but take one ticket, interact with the person that shows as reporter in that ticket. So if you look at any ticket, and let me just find one. This one, for example, you can see it's already assigned, so don't try taking that one. Someone's working on it. You can see it's got a reporter. Good chances to reach out to a reporter. Within the ticket, you've got comments thread, so feel free to ask questions. You can tag people at David to tag me, at Tom to find Tom Daly, etc. That's the best way to interact. It sends us emails, it sends us alerts. We can message you back, it sends you alerts. So when you're talking about a specific ticket, do it in that flow. It also keeps history for anyone wanting to look afterwards. When you come to raise a PR at the end of it, if you put a ticket reference at the front, and all our contributing guidelines on GitHub do say this, when you raise that PR, put the ticket reference at the front of the GitHub PR request, that automatic tags it, and you will see it show up in the development and commit cycle. So if I find one that's actually been done, for example, I probably will find you can see the PR requests. So you can see that transparency of what flows through our system. So don't take issues on GitHub, take Jira tickets would be what I'd say from that. What are the plans for AI integration into Mifos ecosystem? Any roadmap or similar? Well, the best place is to join our AI full working group, because this is exactly what we're doing. So we had a really great call. All of these are recorded and normally shared afterwards if you need them on our YouTube channel or in the Slack channel for the working groups, about what AI and what we wanted to do and all the rest of it. Where for all of our products, including AI, we are having a dedicated road mapping session this year. I can't remember the dates off the top of my head, but ping me afterwards and I can certainly tell you them. I can find them on the spreadsheet. And that will be to set out a roadmap of what we're doing. But if you want to understand what we're doing about AI, equally look at our ideas list for GSOC. It's probably pretty comprehensive in terms of the sort of things we're looking at in terms of AI. They all have tags and they all have filters, so you can choose them to find out. I'm planning to contribute for GSOC 26. Can you please say more about GSOC? Yeah, hopefully I've explained a bit about GSOC. We've got the Ask Me Anyway pool coming up, but happy to go through more on that. If you've got specific questions about GSOC, just go to the hashtag GSOC channel on Slack and ask the question in there. We will answer it. It's the best place because we can answer it for everybody at the same time. Because if you've got a question, it's probably a really valid question that 50 people are scared to ask us. So please put it in that channel, hashtag GSOC on our Slack, and we will answer that question to make sure you get what you want. And it's great that you say you've also found yourself in loops and docs. If you find yourself in that issue, please tell us, because we will try and help you. We'll find the right person to help you. I probably won't be that person, but I can certainly link you to the right person who can help you. But most importantly, what I want to do is raise a ticket so that we actually update that documentation afterwards, so the next person doesn't go through that pain. So I'm kind of glad you've had a little bit of pain, because you can help us raise a ticket and we can solve it for everybody else. So please reach out to me, tell me where you're stuck, and I'll link you up to the right person. Next question. I've successfully started Mifos X web app reactive environment. Great. I'm finalizing time to get refactor. Since I'm looking at the login screen, should I start by exploring how the current components consume the API? That's where I say that's far more technical than I will be able to answer. The person probably to ask for that is Alex, or maybe Victor, or Alberto in our community, or Copy. So we have the web app channel, hashtag web-app. That serves both across Angular and React. Just put the start of your question that you put here into there and say web app React, maybe tag Alex, Copy, Alberto, etc. I'm sure they'll be able to answer that question much better than I will be able to. But if you get stuck, reach out to me on Slack. There's only one David Higgins, as far as I know, in there, so I'm fairly easy to find. Can two volunteering interns work on the same project proposal together, or is it one person for a proposal? No, internships are individual. Yes, multiple people can submit proposals for it and one will be selected, but you can't submit a joint proposal with somebody else, and none of our internship programs allow that. It is about an individual and take it on an individual for an area. So don't feel restricted just because someone else says they're interested in a proposal. Please submit yours as well. But yeah, we're not looking at teams of people to work on an internship. You will be individually against an internship. I'm really good at that. Someone says their answer's all been answered, so that's great. I shall take that and I shall copy that and put it on my board behind me. Is there a specific Mifos template I should follow for the GSOC proposal or the standard format preferred? Use the standard format, that is absolutely fine, but please, please, please include that application template that I linked to earlier and showed. I can probably find it. It's here. It has a set of 21 questions. Please answer those questions. You can put in against that question, please see the section of my proposal if you want, if you really explained it elsewhere. But if you could just make sure you've answered those 21 questions, it's really helpful to us. We have to sift an awful lot of proposals. That gives us some of the metrics we need to do the first sift before we dive a bit deeper into your proposal. So please, please, not just for GSOC, but all of our internship programs, answer those 21 questions and make sure it's somewhere within your proposal, either at the front, the back, I don't mind, but make sure it's in there. Is there extra things I can do right now to stand out during the selection process? At the moment, it's really about community bonding. So it is about you understanding whether you want to be part of Mifos. It may not be for everybody. You might want to be part of another GSOC or different thing. That's fine. We're here to promote open source in general, not just our own. But at the moment, take an issue and show that you can actually work through an issue. And working through an issue does not mean I'm expecting you to take it away and magically come back with a formula. I'm expecting interaction. I'm expecting you to reach out to the mentor. That's why we say take one issue, work through it, chat about it with the mentors, understand it. If you've got a particular proposal in that ideas list, work on it, discuss it with the mentors, refine what you're going to do to put it in there. That's the biggest thing you can do in the selection phase. Making sure you've interacted with the community, you've chatted to us, not just, stick my CV up and I'm really interested. We don't ignore those, but we will say hello to you, but it doesn't really mean anything for scoring that. What matters for scoring is you've got interacted, you found something. I'm not expecting you to have coded the whole project. In fact, I specifically ask you not to code the whole project before the coding period. Just doing something, showing you can understand a bit of it, maybe prototyping something towards what you want to do in that internship, interacting with the mentors. It makes you stick out when we read your proposal. We'll go, yes, I remember so he did this. He was really useful. He had this idea about. That's what makes you stand out. And get involved in our working groups is a really good way to be visible as well. Another question about multiple volunteers internship collaborating. No, one person per one submission of a proposal. Multiple people can put submissions in, but only one will be chosen. I managed to set up web app, but the username and password is not working. Please ask that on the channel. I do know that is a problem we have at some points in time. The password should be Mifos and password as in username password. But if not, please ask that on the web app channel and we will work out what's happened for you there. It probably is that you haven't managed to install one part of the back end to do it. Secondly, about the starter issues, I'm interested in AI related ideas. Yeah, there should be some in there, but they might be a bit sparser. I know it's dominated by mobile ideas in that moment. We'll try and get some more on, but equally just reach out in the AI for all channel. A lot of the people that we have in our community are really engaged in AI will happily say, well, why don't you have a look about this? Equally look at our project ideas around AI, look at the previous code base, maybe look at that and say, is there this issue? You can always raise an issue. I don't mean, just ask Claude to find an issue and raise one. I mean, you can raise an issue that you found yourself through exploration. You can chat to any of us mentors on AI and the AI for working group channel. We can think up issues for you to do. Is there a requirement for minimum number of PR for applying for GSOC, MSOC? Yes, one. And only one. You don't have to do more than one. If you've done more than one, it's great. But this is not a competition about I can do 560 PRs in 2 days to apply for GSOC. We're looking at the quality. It's about us getting to know you, that you've got to know our tools and we can understand who you are. So it's much more important we see a PR that maybe even gone through a few iterations rather than 500 bug fix from AI code. We're not interested in those. We're interested in PRs of people who've taken it and done it at a stage. AI has a really good pace in our code base, but not in terms of trying to get things through to game the system for GSOC and MSOC. So make sure you've raised one, but it only has to be one. You can have done more if you've been engaged for a longer period. That's perfectly fine. But concentrate on the quality of that PR you have raised and how you've done it and how you've interacted would be my guidance. If I don't get chosen as an intern, can I continue volunteering and contributing? Absolutely. Volunteer before, apply, volunteer afterwards, contribute. We don't restrict contributing to interns. We want people to do more. It's just a fact, unfortunately, that not everybody who wants to be an intern or even we want to be an intern can be selected. We have a limited number of mentors, even with 30 odd mentors in our community. And we want to be able to put the right amount of effort in. So not everybody can get an internship, but we still want your contributions and it doesn't stop you. Even if you don't get it 1 year, you might get it another year. So please continue contributing and being part of the community. Specific formats, I think I've covered that one. What type of projects usually get selected for GSOC? It's really hard to say. We will pick a couple of mobile, a couple of AI, a couple of web apps normally in our priority, type Stacker, Gazelle, type things. It really is hard. It's about, as much as anything else, it's down to your proposal. The proposals that really stick out, we think, oh, that's a really good idea, actually. Or you're taking that project and you spend, that's the ones that are going to be top of the priority stack to bring through. I have a doubt regarding voice agent addition in Mifos apps. I don't understand that question. Again, you've gone far too technical for me. Please put that in the GSOC channel and I'll make sure one of the people actually answered that question for you. We can pitch our own proposal. Yes, you can. GSOC allows you to pitch your own proposals. DMP does not. But I would say in general, the proposals we put up are the ones that tend to go through. We don't stop you doing proposals outside, but please chat them through with mentors to make sure can have a mentor aligned to it. It's something you want to do as a community before you pitch it in. The ideas list has been curated each year, especially in terms of what our mentors are interested in supporting and what we're interested in doing as a project. So they probably will stand a higher chance than your own proposal if you've not chatted it through with us. I'm a MERN developer and AI agent. Can you tell me where to start? Contributing in Oktoberfest and want to contribute to different repos so I can learn more. Join our AI working group. Shout out to me, send me a message, connect with people like Keshav, Roo on our Slack channels. They will help you get engaged in wider repos to do things. Are there specific extra things I can do right now to stand out during selection? I think I've covered that one. I'm not able to find a dedicated Slack channel for pluggable workflow engine support ideas. There should be a Mifos X Dev channel. I would use that Slack channel for it. You can use the GSOC channel. You could reach out to Alex on our Slack. He will be one of the mentors for that project. Or reach out to me and I'll link you up to the right people on that project to make sure you've got somebody you can chat to ahead. If a person is a volunteer, can this volunteer be considered as an intern? Yes, you can. If you're a volunteer, you can still apply for internships. We don't. They're not exclusive. You can do both. That's not a problem at all. Should I look for starters especially labelled, or is there a specific Epic project board to the web app 2.0? I'm not sure I understand that question. So reach out to me and I'll find somebody who can answer it for you. All our project ones are on this starter issue board, but we can create more. So I'll put this link up afterwards so people can find it again, but we should be able to find you. If there's an idea for the project you want, we'll find you one, don't worry. Where do I find issues in Jira? I'm not able to navigate the issues. I'm quite new to Jira. That's not a silly question at all. That is perfectly valid, and I will put the link in Slack afterwards in the GSOC channel. It's probably migrated up quite a few pages. I'll make sure it's back in there after this. At the end of the day, number of PRs and issues solved, one actually matters. One has actually matters. No, it's not a numbers game. It really isn't. What we're trying to see is people that have done PRs work through things in the right way. So, as I say, one is as good as 50. To be quite honest, I prefer to see quality PRs worked through, engaged with the community, rather than 500 PRs, unless you've done 500 very, very good work through with community PRs. Is there a stipend provided for GSOC? Yes, there is. That's under the GSOC project rule. So that's one of the things that varies across those programs and is specific to the program. So I recommend going to the Google Summer of Code project. It will detail what the stipends are. It actually depends based on where you actually are in the world as well. It's matched to what the money means in your local context. So go to GSOC site, it will explain what that stipend is. Equally, there was a stipend for DMP, which is specific to DMP program. They are not the same. They are organised by those programs that Mifos then participates in. There's equally one for MSOC that we'll announce when we do the MSOC project. It normally is fairly close to the GSOC one. Can we send 2 proposals for 2 different projects? Yes, absolutely. That's not a problem. You'll only get selected for one if you're successful, but you can submit multiple proposals against multiple different projects. That is perfectly allowed, and we see that most years. After viewing numerous GSOC proposals, what do you think differentiates a strong project, one that only gets to deliver the impact? The main thing is actually that you understand the project. If you want to deliver impact, make sure you've chosen something that you understand, you believe in, and you think you can do. Make sure you've got time to do all the nice things around the edge, around documentation, testing, etc. That's really important for that impact element of getting it in there and getting it into the upstream code base at the end of the project. But yeah, understand your proposal, be clear on what you want to do. It's not a word count exercise. Proposals don't have to be 70 pages long. Someone that understands the project and the proposal is going to be the ones that stand out, is the answer there. I think I've gone through all the questions. If not, please feel free to ask me questions afterwards on Slack. I'm sorry we ran over a few minutes, but hopefully that's been useful to you guys as well. If you had more question come in, if you want to discuss our project members but don't know who to discuss, just reach out to myself, put it in the GSOC Slack channel. We'll tell you which mentors to reach out to for projects. There's some tagged against the project ideas. They're just indicative. You can equally see a list of all our mentors below. I'm sure all of them will be quite willing to answer questions and help you, but certainly just reach out to me on Slack and I'll point you in the right direction for what proposal you're interested in. Thank you all for joining. It's been great to see you. There's mine and Ed's. Ed's is above mine, so Pester Ed as well. Details on there to contact us. We're both in Slack. We're both available to answer questions. And don't worry if we don't answer in 5 minutes, we will get to you, but sometimes it takes 2 days to get through them all. This call was recorded and we will have it on the web shortly afterwards as well in the next few days, so you can go back and recap it. And welcome to our community. Whether you want to volunteer, whether you want to participate in an internship program, you're really welcome, and we want you to feel welcome as part of the community. So welcome to our community, and we look forward to whatever you do. And if you can't get on Slack at all, just reach out to me, emails there on the screen, and I will sort it for you and give you a link and get you one that you don't need a domain. So it's been great talking to you. My voice is now going, so I shall sign off here. But have a good rest of the day, and we look forward to you being part of the community. Thank you for joining.